Lying in Plain Sight podcast.
Recurring theme with Schneider.
So we're seeing a company with a history of safety issues on the road
Yeah,
and potential mistreatment of its own workforce.
right.
It's starting to feel less like isolated incidents and more like a company culture problem.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Wouldn't you say?
That's a very astute observation.
And it makes that $47 million verdict even more significant.
How so?
It's not just about one tragic crash.
No.
It's about holding a company accountable for a pattern of behavior.
I see what you mean.
This is where things get really interesting.
Oh.
Because it raises questions about the trucking industry as a whole.
I'm intrigued.
Is Schneider an outlier?
Maybe.
Or are these kinds of issues more common than we realize?
It's a good question.
We'll be digging into that next.
Can't wait. Schneider isn't the only one.
Really?
Nuclear verdicts are becoming more common
Oh, wow.
in the trucking industry as a whole.
I see.
It's like juries are sending a message,
Like what?
safety and fair treatment matter,
Yeah.
and they're holding companies responsible.
Makes you wonder if this trend is partly because the public is becoming more aware.
Yeah.
There have been some high-profile trucking accidents lately, and people are starting to ask tough questions.
About how the industry
Lying in Plain
That's a
Sight
good point.
Yeah.
podcast.
Increased scrutiny can lead to positive changes.
In what way?
Companies might invest in better driver training,
Okay.
implement stricter safety measures, and maybe even address that driver misclassification problem.
Right, the one we were talking about.
Exactly.
So in a way, these massive verdicts,
Yeah.
as shocking as they are,
They are shocking.
could actually push the industry
Yeah.
toward a safer and more equitable future.
That's the hope.
It's kind of like a wake-up call
It is.
that things need to change.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about the human cost.
No, of course not.
We can't just talk about statistics and legal battles
Right.
without remembering the real people impacted
You're absolutely.
behind every accident,
Yeah.
every lawsuit.
Uh-huh.
There are real stories of loss and hardship.
Absolutely.
We need to think about the truck drivers
Yeah.
who are out there working long hours, facing dangerous road conditions,
It's a tough job.
and struggling to make a living.
For sure.
And, of course, there are the victims of these crashes.
Right.
Individuals who have been injured,
Yeah.
families who have lost loved ones.
It's heartbreaking.
Their voices deserve to be heard.
They do.
These are the real consequences
Yeah.
of an industry that sometimes seems to prioritize profit
Uh-huh.
over safety and human dignity.
I agree.
Lying in
Those
Plain
nuclear
Sight
verdicts are a
podcast.
sign that juries are recognizing this,
Yeah.
and they're not afraid to hold these companies accountable.
That's a good thing.
Okay, so we've seen that Schneider has a history of safety and labor issues,
Right.
but how do they get away with this for so long?
Wow.
What's the bigger picture here?
This is where it gets interesting.
Oh,
We need to zoom out
okay.
and look at the regulatory environment around the trucking industry as a whole.
Okay,
What kind of oversight is in place?
Right.
Are the regulations strong enough?
good question.
Are they being enforced effectively? Are there loopholes that allow companies to cut corners?
Are we saying that the problem might be bigger than any one company?
It's possible.
That maybe the whole system needs an overhaul?
It's certainly worth considering.
We need to ask, is there enough being done to protect drivers and the public?
Yeah.
Or is the system tilted in favor of companies prioritizing profits over people?
These are complex questions,
They are.
but they're questions we need to be asking.
And speaking of responsibility,
Yeah.
where do consumers fit in?
That's a good one.
Do we inadvertently contribute to these exploitative practices
Yeah.
by always choosing the cheapest shipping option or demanding faster delivery?